All right, let's jump right into something I think every single one of us has felt. It's that creeping sense of dread when a brand new, shiny React app slowly turns into a mess you're afraid to touch. Yeah, we're talking about React's architectural time bomb.
It's such a frustrating question, right? You kick off a new project, the code is clean, everyone's excited, the vision is there. So why is it that 6 months down the line, so many of these promising apps just seem to fall apart?
And this just hits so close to home. The source material puts it so bluntly. Real apps turn into spaghetti after 6 months. You know that feeling. If you've ever had to work on a project you were once super proud of, and now you can barely figure out where to make a change, you know exactly what this is talking about.
This whole thing is so common that it almost feels inevitable. Let's call it the spaghetti inevitability. It's this idea that no matter how well you start, chaos is just the default destination. But why? Why does it feel so unavoidable?
You know how it goes. Day one, everything is perfect. Your components are small and focused. The data flow is crystal clear. But then, a new feature request comes in. A deadline gets moved up. Someone pushes a quick fix. And little by little, piece by piece, entropy just takes over.
So where does this downward spiral actually begin? Well, a huge part of the problem starts with the way we learn in the first place. See, the foundation we're often given just doesn't set us up for what's coming in the real world. Let's dig into that.
Okay, so here's the fundamental disconnect. The tutorials we all follow, they teach us how to build toy apps. You know, simple, single-purpose projects that you build once and then throw away. But the apps we build for a living, those are real apps. They're complex, they are constantly changing, and they're meant to last for years. The rules for one just don't apply to the other.
And that's the missing piece of the puzzle, isn't it? Tutorials are great for learning the syntax, for understanding props and state, but they almost never teach you the architectural thinking you need to stop your app from decaying over time. You learn how to lay the bricks, but nobody hands you the blueprint.
And when you don't have that blueprint, you start to feel a certain kind of anxiety. It leads to this set of nagging questions that just pop up over and over as your app gets bigger and more complicated.
We're not talking about simple syntax questions here. The real problems, the things that keep developers up at night, they're all about structure. And the source material really nails down a few of these core anxieties.
Oh man, do any of these sound familiar? Where in the world do I put my business logic? Should I structure my files by feature or by type? How do I stop this one component from turning into a 2,000-line monster? And the classic, please, how do I escape prop drilling hell? These are the real questions, and when you don't have good answers, things fall apart.
Okay, so we've talked about the problem, we know the frustrations. That brings us to the absolute heart of the matter, the one hard truth that can really change how you think about all of this. Now, after all this frustration, it's really easy to start blaming the tool. To think, you know what? Maybe React just isn't cut out for large-scale apps. But here's the thing. The hard truth is, it's not React's fault. And this is it. This is the whole ballgame right here in this quote. Most React codebases fail not because of React, they fail because nobody enforced boundaries early. The problem isn't the framework, it's the lack of architecture.
So what are these boundaries anyway? Well, think of them as simple, clear rules that keep different parts of your app from becoming a tangled mess. A boundary could be a rule like, hey, our UI components are never, ever allowed to know about the database. Or all API calls have to go through this one services folder, and that's it. They're the rules that prevent everything from bleeding into everything else.
I love this fence metaphor. It's just perfect. Imagine you put up a fence to keep all your data fetching logic in one yard. You put up another fence to keep your complex business logic in another. Your UI components can shout over the fence and ask for what they need, but they can't just wander into the other yards and start messing things up. That separation, that's what keeps things sane.
All right, so we've gone from the problem to the cause to the core solution. What's the one thing you should really take away from all of this?
It really boils down to this. The tool you're using is rarely the problem. The lack of a blueprint is. A framework like React gives you a ton of freedom, which is great, but without a plan, without those boundaries we talked about, that freedom leads straight to chaos. The blueprint isn't some crazy, complicated document. It's just a set of simple rules you decide on early to keep a clean separation between how your app looks, what it does, and where it gets its information.
So I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. Next time you start a project, instead of just asking what new library you should use, ask yourself this first. What boundaries does my app need? Seriously, answering that question right from the start might be the single most important decision you make.